Thanks so much to our title sponsor, Visit Bloomington. We would not be here without them. Check them out, visitbloomington.com.
Hey, say, honey, let's go out to eat. Relieve our culinary duties. With all these restaurants to sweep us off our feet, they're bound to turn us into foodies. Oh, no dishes, no dishes, no dishes. We'll have a bottle of wine, relax and have a good time. No dishes, no dishes.
Let's start it out that way. We'll be like, Charles, I heard you did improv.
No.
Garrett set a scene.
Man, do a joke now.
All right, so I'll be a New York lawyer.
Dude, I'm having flashbacks. That's horrible. It was fun, but now it's just like,
like that was the old me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like 2007. Improv was different. You know, it was like it was before Parks and Rec. I think even maybe The Office.
Right.
It was when everybody kind of, improv was a cool thing. And maybe
it still is. I mean, I feel like a lot of people get their start at like Second City in Chicago and all that fun stuff.
Yep.
Cool. Well, we'll dive right in. Welcome to another episode of the No Dishes Podcast. I'm here with, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's the nightmare.
It's the nightmare.
Charles Culp. What's up, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. This is great. It is the After Hours Ambassador.
I know.
That is the position. I know.
I wanted to make you correct me.
It's okay. So does all of Bloomington. Everybody likes to mention it. But my best response to that is, I go by many names.
Oh.
And people love that.
You got that voice down.
Well, it's the Batman.
I feel like I'm sitting across from Christian Bale right now.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're like, I get that a lot.
I think he's my favorite Batman. So.
Yeah, you know what? It's tough, but it's hard not to have recency bias, you know?
Yeah, agreed.
But he does a great job. But yeah, you got the hat, in case I forgot. After Hours Ambassador, not Nightmare.
Yep.
The cape has been retired.
It is.
But I feel like it was such a fun thing because for the city to call it that when it first started, like, like we're having a nightmare position. It sounds kind of silly and fun, but you're obviously not just doing silly fun stuff.
Oh, no.
You're doing a ton of stuff.
Yeah, no. I mean, I'm having a good time. I'm enjoying the position, but it started before COVID, and that's when they called it that. And then sometime during COVID, whenever I was able to kind of come on, they rebranded the position as the After Hours Ambassador. So basically what I do is I promote safety, local events, and businesses downtown in the downtown district. And that's basically... that goes from Rogers to Indiana and basically 1st to 10th Street. So that's kind of my domain, right? But I'm with the Community and Family Resource Department. It's not through the Bloomington Police Department or anything like that. Yeah. And basically what I do is, like I said, is I just kind of check in with businesses. I hand out a lot of business cards. It's ridiculous. And even when I ask for more, they're like, didn't we just give you a box like 3 months ago? And it was like, well, yeah, but
excessive government spending. Charles Culp business cards.
But everybody should have one. And if you don't, let me know and I'll get you one.
Get you one.
You know how to contact me.
Don't miss Constellation Stage and Screen's family holiday show, Matilda the Musical, on stage December 14th through 31st at the Buskirk Chumley Theater. From the visionary mind of Roald Dahl comes the Tony Award-winning Matilda the Musical. Packed with high-energy dance numbers and astonishing stage magic, children and adults alike will be thrilled and delighted by the story of an extraordinary little girl. See Roald Dahl's Matilda the Musical on stage December 14th through 31st in downtown Bloomington. Find tickets at cconstellation.org. So you were the second person in the position?
Correct.
So the first one was hired, they were the Nightmare.
Yes.
How did you come into this role?
It was kind of one of those things. I was working in Bloomington, helping students on the spectrum that go to IU and Ivy Tech. And so I was working with businesses in the career department. And so it just kind of, the role opened up. I applied for it. And then I kind of forgot I applied for it. And then eventually a couple months later, I got a call for my first interview. So then I went through the steps and I kind of did a lot of research. That's when I found out it was originally called The Nightmare.
Okay.
And I saw the Reddit post and all the things, people were making a lot of comments. But it was based off of a position in Iowa City, Iowa. So I ended up finding out who that guy was, and I contacted him. His name's Joe, and so he gave me just kind of some feedback.
Before you started the position?
Yeah, before I even interviewed.
Oh, wow, okay.
So then in the interview, I was like, well, I talked to Joe, in Iowa City, and that was a really, I think, a big, strong first step for the interview process.
Yeah.
And then eventually, I got the position, and it's been just over 2 years now.
Wow.
In the position.
Congrats.
Thank you. Yeah.
So when you reached out to Joe, what did he tell you?
He just talked to me about like what the position entails. And what's interesting is what they do in Iowa City is that it's through its own nonprofit. It's actually not part of the city government. So my position is housed within the city, and
Right.
Joe's is like a separate nonprofit where he does the same thing.
Interesting.
So there's probably a fundraising aspect that he does that I don't ever have to do, And so because of that, it's just like one of those things where he gave me some information, and then I used it in the interview, and then now it just kind of, once I got the job, I got to figure out more about what was needed downtown. And that just comes from going around kind of like, you understand, like just talking to different businesses and people down there. And then, like I said, handing out business cards. So then when things do come up, they kind of reach out and they say, hey, are you the one for this? Now obviously I always say this, if there is like a serious emergency, it's always a BPD issue.
Right, yeah.
It's always like call the police. I'm not sworn in. I'm not here to arrest people or anything like that. I make a lot of suggestions, and even with the college kids, I'll see them doing things, and I'll say, hey, how about we use a crosswalk, and they don't always respond positively, but that's my job has done. I've done what I needed to do there. So those are just kind of things. I work 9 to 5 on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I'm 4 to midnight. So I'm in the nightlife, I'm out there with the people on the street. I'm talking to college kids, bar owners, managers, night staff, seeing a lot of familiar faces that are on similar schedules, and then just getting to know people and what needs to be done, and seeing if I can connect them to different departments in the city and how the city can help them if they need it.
Yeah, I was curious about what your schedule was. Because like doing this, like we're doing this at 6:30 and you're working before this.
Yeah.
But I always see you out late.
Yeah.
So I'm like, dude, does he work
no.
like all the time?
Yeah. And then it's weird because then I'll have meetings during the day and I got to hit the meeting and then I got to go home, take a break, and then go back out into the streets and stuff. So
what was the most surprising thing when you started? Maybe that happened within the first few weeks.
I didn't realize how, because I'll wear the hat and I got a nice button up, but a lot of people take the position very seriously. I mean, obviously I do too, but there's times where college kids, it'll be late at night and they'll be like, "Excuse me, officer," and I don't stop them, but I'm just like, "How can I help you?" Sort of thing. I don't say I'm not an officer because that's totally confusing, especially depending on what state they're in,
Right.
But they look at me and they're like, "Oh, we should probably do what this guy suggests."
Well, that's good. I mean, that's what you want.
Yeah.
You want people to respect your authority.
Yeah, for sure. not like Cartman, but that was a throwback. Man.
Thanks. Yeah, I don't know why.
I bet that was a 1998 South Park episode.
Yeah. When I started that sentence, I did not intend to go there, and it just happened.
Yeah. I've never said that. In this role, I've never said respect my authority. I used to do a really good Cartman voice. I'm not gonna. No, it's been such a long time.
What?
No.
What if it's terrible? We'll cut it.
No. I'm not. Maybe behind closed doors. I don't know.
All right. We'll see if
like I said,
we have a bottle around here. We can.
It's one of those things.
I
won a contest in middle school for the best Cartman.
Really?
Yeah.
Who hosted
it wasn't
the best Cartman?
Like our homeroom, our homeroom teacher.
Yeah.
But
I don't know if a local card shop is
who's
got the best.
No, it wasn't like that.
So, do you think having that on your resume helped you get the position?
Having a good Cartman voice?
Yeah, be like one.
I didn't
Mr.
See, that's the thing. I didn't put it on my resume. I didn't think about that, but.
Well, hey, at least you still got it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that would be one you look back on. It could help
if I need leverage anywhere else. I'll use it. Yeah.
Hey, I'm just trying. Hey, you give guidance to other people. I'm trying to help give you guidance.
You're right. That's why I came here. Yeah. See?
Oh, you're in the wrong place, buddy. I'm the last person you want to go to.
That's all right.
Well, I'm glad you're here because I see you all the time when I'm doing bingo.
Yeah, and that's been great, man. You've been an inspiration, honestly, because like just the way that you connect, and then anytime I need any connection through a food truck, you've got the information, and it's just something that's just made things a lot easy for me and my department when we're putting on different events.
Oh, yeah, I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, it's
for sure.
Well, what I find really interesting is, we just had Carrie Thompson, we're talking to her about just the people experiencing homelessness and the different issues that affect different people. You know almost everyone downtown by name, and you have rapport with not just the businesses, just the stakeholders and the economic development, but with people that are down on their luck and maybe might sometimes conflict with business interests. Tell me how that's kind of what that experience has been like, getting to know these individuals and how you've been able to maybe help them.
Yeah. What ends up happening is we're on the same schedule. You know, if I'm down there at night, they're down there at night. If they're down there 3 nights a week and I'm down there 3 nights a week, it kind of turns into this coworker relationship because it's a familiar face. Yeah. Especially in the sea of never-ending college kids, you know, and I don't know any of them anymore.
All dressed the exact same.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or as the fashions change, you see the trends. It's interesting. But and so I'm not hip anymore. I'm not in that crowd.
You and me both.
Yeah, exactly. I used to be though.
Our time has passed us.
I know. It hurts to talk about, but
I laugh to hide the pain.
It is, yeah. That's the slogan of the podcast, isn't it? But so basically, and if they're down there, I'm fine just going up and talking to them and just seeing how things are going. Yeah. Obviously, they've got different things on their plate than I do, but there's some places where they line up. There's always, we always have things in common. There was a guy down there, he used to have cardboard signs and he held it up and he said like Marty McFly stole his wallet, so it's like, he's seen Back to the Future,
Right.
It's like he's living in a tent, but he's seen a movie that I've seen. So, there's always places where you can connect with people and have conversations. And then you can get to the point where it's like, man, like, how are you doing? What do you need? And then if they are looking for help, I'm able to kind of guide them in the right direction to the right services. So Stride Center is a 24-hour crisis center. It's on Morton, right across from City Hall. And they've just been such a big support because there's always an opportunity where I can kind of guide somebody to go to Stride, right? If they need shoes sometimes, or if they need a place to sober up, or if they're looking for a job or places, if they're actually sitting there going, I don't have a house. I'd like to have a house. How can you help me in this? Stride's usually the first connection because then Stride is well connected with all these other agencies in town. And since it's 24 hours, they're on the same schedule that I am. So I'll even pop into Stride just to see how they're going, doing things in there. And it's just another familiar face, another good connection. And then I'm able to kind of see if I'm able to get people to the services they need. Now, they don't always want that. Sometimes they just want to hang out on Kirkwood. Kirkwood is a cool place. There's a lot going on.
Can't say I blame them.
And if you hang out there, it's funny because as I'm talking, so in the past, when I first started working with the homeless population, I was in Southern Colorado, and there was a guy who told me one time, if you hang around a barbershop long enough, you're bound to get a haircut. So a lot of people have that same attitude. It might be Starbucks, it might be good, Goodfellas Pizza or something like that. But they know if they're out there and they're down there, good things happen on Kirkwood. There's a lot of things that just kind of turn up, and and who's not going to pass up a good piece of pizza? So,
right. Yeah. I stand for our local joints, but I love me some Goodfellas too.
Yeah.
I like a good New York slice.
Yeah.
So, that's awesome that you're able to build that rapport, help them. I don't know if I'm just blanking, but I don't know if I've ever heard of Stride.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's something that should be very well known.
Yeah.
That there's a 24-hour crisis center.
24-hour crisis center, and it's across from City Hall. And they just provide support. And it's kind of one of those situations. Sometimes I've heard if somebody's in a predicament and a police officer's involved, a police officer can say, like, do you want to go to Stride or do you want to go to jail? So there's an option there. And they're just able to provide different services, like I said, to help people out. And it's a place a lot of people go to sober up. And then even in the winter, right? You think about those nights when it gets really cold, and if you're out on the street, Stride will let you come in for a couple days. Now, it's not a shelter, so you can't kind of camp out there, but it's just something where you can come in, feel safe, take care of yourself, and then they're going to help you with whatever next step you need.
Is that government funded or?
I don't know. That's a really good question. I know that they do take donations and everything on their website, but I'm not sure where the funding comes from. So that's something I'm gonna have to look up. Somebody's gonna ask me that again.
Yeah, I wonder, because I mean, we're gonna have Forrest from Beacon on, and dive into a lot of this stuff. I'm really excited about that.
He'll have a good answer for that, where the funding comes from. So
right, yeah. What I guess have you had any crazy stories?
Yeah. I
don't know.
It's all the time.
It's like, okay, so the main reason I want to have you here, give me the story.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
I'm interested about you, but I want to know what's happening.
Yeah, there's so many things, and some of it, it's like, there's just some things that I don't want to see repeated down on Kirkwood, so I'm not even going to tell that story, sort of thing.
You're like, I didn't know that was a possibility.
Exactly, yeah. Like, it's, and sometimes it's scooter related, you'll just see things, right? And it's just like, good grief. Because these college kids, they have ideas, and I did too. And that was the thing. I've been on the other side of it. So then there's situations where, like, kids are getting into trouble, and it's just like, guys, we didn't used to do that, so you shouldn't either. It's like, just chill out. Or
that's how I feel with a lot of it. It's like, I mean, we had the incident when we first opened our new store about kids on Little Five throwing glass bottles onto our patio. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, like, I did some not cool stuff, but like, I've never like endangering people in that kind of way.
Exactly, yeah.
And so I'm like, when did that change? Or maybe it's always been that way.
Well, and it is different now with the phones and everything. Because I even remember that with the domes that they had at some of the restaurants. There was one outside of Farm during COVID, and Crazy Horse had one, I think. A couple other people. Yeah. Probably Uptown. But
no, Uptown
we would have tried. We would have tried to take that home. But now there's cameras everywhere, and I think the kids know there's cameras everywhere. So you just can't. You can't do things, kind of like we used to, which is really good, I think, because we just, stuff would just kind of go missing. And sometimes I'll see kids like pulling a dumpster, at the end of the night. And I'm like, dude, put it down.
Yeah. Well, the street, I had roommates grab street signs and, construction barrels, stuff like that. Yeah. Not me.
Yep.
Roommates.
Yeah, exactly. And then you wake up the next morning and it's in the living room, and it's just like, what happened?
What'd you do, dude?
Yeah. So I try to stop that.
That's
try
good.
to. But it's also like, I know where they're coming from.
So do you have a story that wouldn't give people ideas?
I will. Here's one I saw. There was it was before Pride, I think 2 years ago, and they had umbrellas set out for Pride. But some kid at the end of the night was just walking up Kirkwood, and he had the umbrella open, and it was just giant, And
doing his Mary Poppins impression.
And it was just, and of course, and he'd done a lot of push-ups. He was a muscular guy, I'm sure he was trying to impress people. But just to see like somebody carrying a giant umbrella up Kirkwood, yeah. So I went up to him, and this is the other thing. It's not like, I don't carry any sort of firearm, but I have my cell phone, and it's just a quick conversation. It's like, do you want to put that umbrella down, or do you want to make me get a phone call, where police are going to arrive in this situation? And of course, every time, they're like, okay, I'll put it down.
Yeah.
And I asked him to put it back, and then he's like, no, I'm just putting it down. So then I carried it back,
Oh, wow. Well, he had to feel like he had a little victory.
Yeah. You got to stand up to the authorities sometimes,
Yeah, that's what School of Rock taught me.
Yeah, exactly. Or John Mellencamp, right? It's Authority song. So you should get John on the show. That'd be neat.
Yeah, dude. I mean, we've got Chocolate Moose has all the sucking on a chili dog street.
Oh,
cred.
You do? Yeah.
Be like, hey, John, how about we recreate? Like, I brought in this bench. Can you and I sit on it?
Yeah. The thing is about that line was that, were people saying that back then? Was it kind of a cultural thing that changed over time, and now it's...
Well, and too, like, he was at the time, it was the Penguin, but he says Tasty Freeze, but it's filmed at the Penguin. So obviously, lyrically, Tasty Freeze worked better. Yeah. And I'm assuming, because he's from Seymour, I think, that the Seymour probably had a Tasty Freeze. Okay. So that was maybe more hometown for him. But, I mean, he used to, back when I was at the stand, he came by.
Really?
But he would send someone out.
Yeah.
Like you could see him in the car.
Yeah.
And they'd come over and get...
I saw him outside of Zagrab's over Thanksgiving. And as we were walking in, he was walking out.
Yeah.
And my dad was with me, and it was like, dude, we're having a Bloomington moment. Here we go. Like, hold on. We're going into Zagrab's and Mellencamp's coming out.
Treasure it.
Yeah.
Well, he's, I'll have to ask if we can share this, but one of my good friends, she's been a server there forever and would always wait on him.
Oh, nice.
And he just had her go on tour with him.
Oh, that's cool.
To like be his like assistant.
Oh, nice.
On tour
That's
from
awesome.
her waiting on him at Zagrab's.
Yeah. Just like making that's a very Bloomington thing, you know? Like,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, hey, like.
Well, and just kind of how like Lovey, our owner at the Moose, saw me bartending doing my thing at Sweetgrass, which led me to go there. He gets to see her handling all these tables like, oh, that person can handle stress, multitask, still have a positive attitude, all the things that I need in an assistant. So I thought that was super cool. But that's
I like when those moments work out. Those are not it's not always about the paperwork. Sometimes it's about the face-to-face interactions that you have.
It's all about who you know. Yeah, it's absolutely. So you mentioned working with the homeless in Colorado.
Oh,
I guess, can we go back to where little Charles,
way back.
where you were born and raised and kind of how you ended up before us here today?
I've thought about how to say this. I grew up by a farm in Vincennes, Indiana. I didn't grow up on a farm, but I grew up, there was a farm next to us. So we were always like out in the corn and stuff, but getting yelled at.
But basically. You weren't taking care of animals yourself. Okay.
No.
Well, that's good. At least I appreciate the transparency.
Yeah, exactly. Right. But it's weird because it's like, we would just run through the corn and, we'd build forts and then the farmers would come by and they'd tell us we shouldn't be doing that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're their equivalent of the umbrella through the middle of the street.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's how I started to learn. But I went to VU and then I transferred up to IU. And this was 2005. And then we lived in a place called the Varsity Villas, me and some of my buddies.
Now Stadium Crossing. Were you there when there was like the helicopter and the couches on fire?
No. Okay. No. There were 5 other apartments and us though, and we each bought 3 kegs one night for a party. So we had a 15.
It's a lot of kegs.
Yeah. And we promoted it on Facebook.
When it first started?
Exactly.
Back when you had to have a college email.
Well, when you could first, exactly. And then when you could first put like parties on it, because there was a point where your only photo was your profile photo. You couldn't do any other photos. But then they were like, oh, you can do photo albums. Oh, you can do parties. So then it was like, dude, well, guys, let's try this out. And then I think it was even before like, any sort of authority started looking to see where the parties were. It was
before you're looking at social media of people applying for a job.
Yeah. So this isn't really part of my origin story.
No. If we could spend 2 hours talking about Varsity Villa stories, that might be the best episode we've ever had.
Yeah, well, it'd be very self-incriminating, I think.
So, I want to keep my job.
I know, exactly. So
you were young.
Yeah, we were one of the good people. It was just stuff we saw sometimes. But anyway, lived in the villas, went to IU, got a degree in education. Student taught in Martinsville, had a great time up there. I taught government and economics in Martinsville. Yeah, Martinsville High School.
How long were you there for?
Just a semester for student teaching.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
And then this was like 2008, so things were getting real, a lot of energy going around, and I didn't want to teach yet, so I signed up for AmeriCorps, and I went to Southern Colorado, and I was there from 2009 to 2010 with 20 other volunteers. One of them ended up being my wife, and it was this organization called La Puente Home, and they provide services to people that are unhoused in the San Luis Valley. So this is like an hour north of New Mexico.
Okay.
And I was a volunteer coordinator, so it was kind of, I got my feet wet, just kind of understanding, what people needed, and groups were coming in, alternative spring break groups, and just seeing like what they needed. But there were just a ton of people that were just passing through. It was the West, and people were just hitchhiking, and they'd stop at the shelter. And then there was also a boutique, like a clothing store, a used clothing store, a coffee shop, and then a children's program as well. So they did, they kind of had everything centralized, and it was in the San Luis Valley, which is, southern Colorado. So it was myself and, like I said, 22 other volunteers, and then my wife was in the program as a volunteer, and I mean, she wasn't my wife at the time.
Right, well, that's how you met.
I met her.
Yeah.
Yep. So then she, after our year of service, she's from Williamsburg, Virginia, and we went to DC, and she nannied, and then she was placed in Memphis, Tennessee for Teach for America. So then we were there for 5 years down in Memphis.
Okay.
And that was cool. I learned a lot down there. Loved the food, Beale Street. Got to see, kind of how nightlife is, but not as somebody who's responsible for it, as somebody who's definitely participating in it.
Active participant.
Exactly,
for sure.
exactly. And then we had our first child in Memphis, and then I got hired up here in Bloomington to work with the students on the spectrum. So it just became that, and then eventually over that time, then I got hired with the city. So it just kind of looking back, that's how it all happened. But had no clue.
Well, you've got, a good mix. Colorado, Memphis, DC, kind of been all over.
Yep.
How are you feeling about Bloomington as the long-term play?
I have kids now.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Do you mind me asking how many kids you have now?
2.
Okay.
2 girls, 3 and 8, and they're hilarious. They're awesome. They're something to manage as well.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, that's about the age of my nieces. So,
Yeah. My youngest daughter was eating a piece of fried chicken the other night. She took a big bite out of it, and she goes, "Dad, there's turkey in here." And I was like, "Wow."
Yeah, you're like, well, hey, for Thanksgiving, we'll just do chicken.
Exactly.
Save some money.
Yeah. But it was her discovery, and it was wow, you really. Thanks for what you give the world. I appreciate that. You're welcome.
You said that was the 3-year-old?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 3-year-old.
You're
The
like-
8-year-old's got more sass. She's like, she knows, more about how to talk back a little bit.
She would have said the same thing, but said it sarcastically.
Exactly. Yeah. And we're working on eye rolling, how not to do it. So we just,
who to do it to, but
Exactly.
not to me,
Exactly.
not to your dad.
Yeah. It's like, it's like education, It's the same thing. We want to make sure that, we're not misusing these things that people use to communicate.
Like, it is a very valuable tool.
It is.
In the right setting.
Exactly. But it can be misused.
Yeah.
And it can get you in trouble.
Yeah, don't they see you do it to someone, they're like, do as I say, not as I do.
Exactly. I said that today. We were talking because she's discovering new cuss words. And
that's fun.
And,
That's good.
and I'm like, where'd you get that one? And then that one, she's like, oh, I heard it from you. And I was like, okay, well, do as I say. Not as I do.
Yeah.
And I'm just blatantly saying that now, and that's interesting. So, because it's like I'm not even trying to hide it. It's like, I'm not always right.
No, you're owning it. We're all human.
Yeah.
You got to show yourself grace.
Yeah.
We're all going to make mistakes,
Exactly.
but it's as long as your heart is in the right place and you're trying to do well,
trying
to improve. You're good. That's what I'm honestly been working on that with myself.
Yeah.
Just like not beating myself up.
Yeah, man. You're right.
You're still, even when you're on a good path, you're still gonna maybe not be perfect all the time with your use of time or like, oh man, I'm wearing my Reptiferals today. We're like, sometimes I'm just busy and I can't go. Yeah. And I would just beat myself up like crazy. Oh man, I did go work out today.
It's like getting on the rumble strip, just turn it a little.
Yeah, just
get back,
I like that.
I got no problem hitting a rumble strip.
Hitting the life rumble strip. That's a good
or at
analogy.
least not panicking when I hit it.
We'll make, once this episode comes out, we'll make a no dishes bumper sticker.
Okay.
Like, don't hit the life, or sometimes you hit the life rumble strip. We like Charles Culp.
Just guide it back. So, but so that just kind of, obviously even this position didn't exist, and so it just kind of, I ended up with, a pretty good list of things that I've done and experiences I've had, and it just kind of fell into place. And now I'm here kind of utilizing what I have. And it's wild because I'll meet people from different parts of the world, that are just traveling through, coming through Bloomington. And, some of those people, they're not even looking for housing. They're just here for a couple nights and then they're on their way.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. How do they end up here? They're just.
So, sometimes they hitchhike, sometimes they walk, it depends on their story. But that's the other thing about stories on the street. I never get a straight answer. I don't think, even with people's names,
Right.
But that's the thing. It's like, if somebody tells me their name is Wolf, then, I'm going to call you Wolf,
Yeah.
Something like that.
You're like, I'm part of the pack. Let's
exactly.
go.
Yeah. I'm not going to disrupt it, but that's a weird name for somebody to have, but
You're like, is that your government name?
Exactly.
Like, I'm in the government. You have to tell me.
Exactly. And I get that sometimes. They're like, are you with the FBI? And it's like, no, I am not. I get that I have a hat on.
the hat means CIA, FBI.
It must be so.
Every time.
But people are always just, there's a lot of time where people are just figuring each other out on the street, sometimes. And so those are conversations that I have. And then usually since I know people now, it's so much easier, because especially if I know somebody and then there's a new person, they'll be like, oh, this is Charles. He's with the city. He, there's one guy, he's like, Mr. Ambassador, and he like flags me down. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool.
Do you have the little like flag antennas on your car? Like for when ambassador travels?
Oh no, I don't. I didn't think about that. I do. I have a city car that I'm able to use sometimes. I only try to use it in the winter because I'm usually walking the rest of the time. But
Right.
yeah, there are moments like that where, you know, people are like, "Where's the embassy?" And I was like, "You got me, dude." Burn.
I love it. Yeah, I'm cracking all these jokes that you've heard 1,000 times.
Yeah, well, and that's it. And that's, you know, it's like the nightmare thing. It's like, so then I get back, you know, and I'm like, I got to have an answer for this. You know, people are always going to say nightmare, so I better have a good response.
Yeah.
So it comes kind of just part of it, and I put it in my back pocket and, you know, use it when I need to.
Yeah, and all the time people are like, were you trying to be the day mayor
Yeah,
next?
exactly. Yeah. Are you Bruce Wayne? Oh, no. So,
You're like, I've got that kind of money,
yeah,
though.
yeah. Yeah, that's why I'm working.
You said you walk everywhere. Do you like track your steps? Are you like?
I don't every night, but one night I was like, let's see how many steps,
Yeah.
and I got up to 10,000 in one night. So
Nice.
it was cool. But then I was like sweating, and then it's weird. It's such a weird balance because I'll burn a lot of calories, and then I'll be like, oh, there's no line at Chipotle.
Yeah, when it's all late night food.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you're not exactly like Sweet Green's not open at 11 p.m.
No. Well, no. So you know, and I'm sure they're great. I haven't had them yet, but
They're good.
Are they?
I'm usually not on here like being like, check this chain out, but I've enjoyed Sweet Green. But good options. They're not in your district, but other good local places for like a good healthy bowl are Feta and Hive.
Yes.
But Sweet Green, Sweet Green's good. It's a location thing, but I go to Feta quite a bit and Hive when I'm on the east side.
Hive has good chicken too.
Yeah,
They have
Miller
roasted
Farms. I think.
Yeah. And then they use their rotisserie chicken to make their chicken salad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They got, what was that? The Chicken Legit.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I just always have loved that name.
Yeah.
Just sliced chicken on a sandwich, but
they don't have fries. They have frites, I think.
Oh, free. One of the,
frites.
That's why, frites. The Lenny's is always, or Finch's always did frites.
Oh, did they? Yeah.
The Bloomington Town Planner is a community calendar owned and published by local residents John and Sharon Martin. Mailed out to Bloomington homes in December of each year, it features school schedules and community events. And don't forget the coupons at the bottom of the calendar. They'll save you money and help you decide on the next restaurant or retailer to check out here in the Bloomington area. Town Planner also has an online calendar which can be found at townplanner.com. Make sure to sign up for their weekly e-newsletter so you can stay on top of all the fun events going on around town.
Yeah.
Man, I haven't thought about Finch's. Was always one of my favorite spots in town.
Yeah.
Did you ever get to go to Finch's?
I don't think so. I did go to the old Lenny's. We were going over there for a while, and then before they made the move. But no, I didn't get over to Finch's. I don't think.
One of the things I love that you do for people that are friends with you on Facebook, not that you want a bunch of random strangers. Maybe
Hey, it's all good.
But you just like, it's so easy to follow you and just keep a tab on what's going on.
Yeah.
Like you're always, you share a lot of stuff that we post or like No Dishes or Chocolate Mousse or Food Truck Friday or Bar Bingo. But like you're just taking fun pictures because you're walking around downtown all the time.
Yep.
So you're like seeing and making really cool content.
Yeah. If stuff happens, you know, I try to get a good picture. And then, you know, it's weird. Like a storm will come in. And so like the sunset looks amazing. And I'm the one who's out here. And I figure other people are just kind of in watching TV. So I'll take a picture, you know, and hope that people enjoy it. And then sometimes I'll find an animal, man. I'll find like a squirrel. I found a possum on New Year's 2 years ago. And I was like chasing it down. And
like, I need you to pose for this.
I had a video of it because it was like, 10 minutes till the ball dropped. And it was like, what's going on? What's this possum doing?
The New Year's Eve possum. It's like Groundhog Day.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like how much longer is 2023 going to last?
And that's the other thing about Bloomington. It's just wild, you know, the wilderness sometimes, you know, it's just like you'll be there and then you'll see like just a family of deer walk through downtown and it's like, well, here we are. This is
the
it.
one where someone was just saying the deer were being aggressive in Elm Heights?
No.
Well, you said you saw like a Reddit post.
That. No, it sounds like another South Park joke though.
No,
where it was like,
exactly.
It's coming right for us.
The Christmas creatures.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's an even darker one.
Anyway,
that's a super dark.
We're gonna lose all advertisers for anyone that watches that episode of South Park.
Do you have advertisers?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Wow. Thanks, Charles.
Well, I didn't mean that. like you see.
I know. No. So we've got
sponsor.
So Visit Bloomington is our presenting sponsor.
Oh, nice.
So we've got the bee down here.
We've
got the billboard. We got the other one behind you.
Oh, great.
We've got the mug.
You need some like beverages. You know, you need some.
So there's a couple people. So this won't come out for a little bit. We're still lining some up.
Okay.
But part of that, there is a beverage one.
Okay.
I'm in talks
because that'll be cool. It'll be here, right in front of the camera.
Just like,
Yeah, this is great.
It'll be like a Truman Show.
Yeah.
Where she's got like the multi-tool and
the product. Yeah.
Do you ever find, because I mean, your job is essentially to walk around and talk to people. Do you find yourself ever getting bored? Like, because I know you do a lot, but it has to come in waves, right?
It's weird. It's weird. Yeah, things do come in waves. I'm not getting calls all the time, but sometimes I am. And then when I do get the calls, then I go down and it's for a specific purpose. So-and-so's outside and they're laying on the middle of the sidewalk. Okay, well, when I show up, that's what I'm looking for. But other times, if nothing's going on, I just kind of check in. I'll check in with the people at Atlas. I'll check in with people at the back door, and then I'll move up to the Bishop, and it's just like I'll just see them, and see how people are doing. But the more I do it, the more people I know. So then there's more going on. I'm kind of less bored. I think when I first started, there were just a lot of like dark alleys I was walking down, and it was just
mentally and physically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it was just kind of like, and what am I doing?
You're like, I'm just getting paid to walk downtown.
Yeah.
When there's nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. But everybody in my department has been super supportive, and even at the start, it was just kind of like I'd get all these check-ins. How was last night? How did things go? And then as I got more experience and more confidence in the position, I just started learning more about what people needed and how to interact with people and the places to check in, because there's all different types of places where people kind of hang out. But then there's also like looking at the schedule. If there's a football game, right? If it's a home game, there's going to be a lot of people down there, so I should probably check in with Nick's staff, see how they're doing because they're working through a lot of stuff. And same with Kilroy's and sports too, just making sure everybody's like doing what they're supposed to be doing, but just saying hi and if they need anything.
So that sounds great though.
Yeah.
Once you do have that established where you're just like, hey, unless I'm getting a call or there's something that I see that needs taken care of, I'm just go over here. And I feel like that is good for business city relations.
Yeah, totally.
To have someone, especially like yourself, that it's like, just, hey, we're here. We're here for you. And I genuinely care about you and I'm checking in on you.
Yeah.
Not just like, oh, there's something going on. I got to go take care of it.
Yep.
I feel like those check-ins mean a lot.
Yeah. And then it makes me more accessible, because if people see me and they don't need something, then we're able to just kind of talk a little bit, and just, see how things are going. And so that's how you really get to know people, I think, when there's not like a situation, when there's just little things. But then also if there is something that happens and it gets resolved, then I follow back up, and that's another opportunity to just see, what else they need and how they feel about how things went. And
that's great.
What we can do differently, hopefully.
Are there any downtown businesses that heard you were coming on that bribed you with food to give them shout outs?
No.
Actually.
Yeah, exactly. No, but the food, man, it just never stops. And then the smells, it's just like, I'll just be downtown. And like I said, like if there's not a line, sometimes I'm not even hungry, but I'm like, well, I better hit that Chipotle right now.
Right now. Yeah. Dude, walking behind Uptown, it gets me all the time.
Yeah.
They've got that pumping out the back. And it's just like,
And then if there's a new restaurant, like when Chubby's opened, I was just like, well, I better go see what this is about, and then next thing you know, I'm like, this is
you're just doing your job.
Kind of better than Chipotle.
You're just checking. Yeah. Yeah. Dude, I love Chubby's, man. It's a great option. What do you think? Is there a place downtown you frequent more than any other?
I check in a lot with
I love that phrase.
Did I even miss a beat there?
Yeah. I check in. You're like, really want to see how Michael's doing.
No. The Trojan horse on the corner.
Yeah.
They got the window. I just go by, and their cooks are in there and they're working. And, I'm just like putting my hands on the window and throwing peace signs, and, and that's our relationship, Yeah. Like they're working, I'm working, but we see each other all the time, So, it's just one of those places. And I love going there. And then I'm always going there and I'm like, oh, it's a Greek restaurant. Let me have some Greek food. But then you have the burger and it's like, that's amazing.
Yeah. It's nuts that it is a Greek spot, but they're doing like meat ground fresh daily, like really good double cheeseburger.
Or their soups. The signs, the sandwich board signs get me. And if there's a soup,
Oh, I thought you were saying like get you like a trip on them.
No, no, that's never happened. I see him on the ground and I'll pick him up. But if I'm walking by, like I was walking by Irish Lion, and I haven't seen it since. And that's the thing. It's like these mythical like unicorns, But they had a steak and onion soup.
Oh,
and it was from their steaks that they cut up and put in the that they'd probably serve as a steak, but they used it in the soup.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, and I haven't seen it since.
Have you gone in there been like, hey?
I have.
Is that
good?
Good?
And they're always like, oh, that was 2 days ago. Or it's always like, oh, it was just here, man. And it's like,
man.
oh. So sometimes I just take a walk and just see what's going on the sandwich boards. So
well, if you're listening and you're a downtown business and you want
Yeah.
Charles to always be checking by you, just put steak and onion on the menu.
you can do that.
And
Yeah.
he'll always be coming by, make sure
And
everything's on the up and up.
Yeah. How are things going?
Do you ever hit him at Trojan Horse with the
Staircase.
stairs?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. I do that. I do the treadmill. Yeah.
Oh, what's the treadmill?
Well, it's like the stairs, but you just kind of try and,
just-
try and moonwalk,
Nice.
you know.
Okay.
Yeah. That's very, what is that? Mike Myers? That was his bit, wasn't it?
Is it?
I felt like he did that in a couple movies, but there was one, or maybe it was
I know the
Couch.
stairs. Well, the stairs, I mean, the Office, they did it.
Oh, did they? It
Where
could have
he's
been
like-
in Wayne's World too, I feel like, maybe,
Yeah.
but.
Yeah, I feel like that's
Yeah.
the perfect opportunity is at that Trojan Horse window.
The thing is, now they expect it, so it's not. It's like, oh, here he goes. He's doing the stairs again.
You're like, I'm essentially the Trojan
Yeah.
Horse jester.
Yeah, yeah.
You're like, actually, I'll take Nightmare over that. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's good.
Have you been to Maru yet? The new Venezuelan bakery on 7th where Butch's was?
Yes, I did go there, and I went there during one of my day shifts to check in, and obviously gave my business card and stuff. But
Yeah.
it's been great. Yeah.
Have you tried the food?
Yeah,
Okay,
but I don't remember what I had.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, it can be kind of overwhelming.
Or I don't know what it was called.
Yeah, no, exactly.
you know,
Yeah.
but it was one of those things where I was like, oh, this is delicious.
Dude, everything. I brought Garrett some. Now I'm blanking on the name, but we did the arepas, which
Yeah.
obviously Marcos at Food Truck Friday and Arepa Burger, they do an amazing job.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, dude, I went in there and like my friend Londi works for them. Like it's El Ranchero, Vivencia going on the east side. And they like let me sample like a spread.
Oh, see, that's nice. That's nice.
It was just like, so she came up from Venezuela because obviously the issues down there, but was like an award-winning like chef down there.
Yeah, yeah.
And you can just tell that they're doing everything. They're doing like 8-hour stocks and everything is made like purely from scratch.
Yeah.
So, like people say scratch kitchen all the time, but it's not Cheddar's.
Yeah.
It's not like it's legitimately scratch, and like it's just the flavor profiles and the everything that should be crisp is crisp, everything that should be moist is moist, and it all just comes together. You're just like, my God.
Yeah. People are really passionate. I feel the same way, even like Baked. I'll check in on Baked.
Yeah.
Because they're open late. And it's just, and so like me going in there, it's just like, oh, you here for the cookie? And it's like, yeah, I'm on my cookie part of the night here, But
dude,
it's just one of those things where it's just like people are working really hard to make good things, and they're all out there on Kirkwood and Walnut, and down that area. So,
Oh, dude, why? I mean, I think I live underneath Uptown.
oh, I didn't know that.
And maybe but I'm right there.
Yeah.
And it's so funny coming out like my front door and I'm in the
Yeah,
Uptown dining
yeah,
room.
yeah.
But I've thought I really want to add it up one day. How many restaurants are within a 10-minute walk from my apartment? It's got to be over.
Yeah.
It's easily 100
Well,
at least.
that could be something I do next time I'm out.
Yeah, like
we
just
could
because
map it out.
All people be like, "What do you love about Bloomington so much?" And I'm like, "Dude, like Bloomington's
And
great."
that's the thing. The more I walk, then I'm just checking other options. Where it's like, oh, there's a sandwich board down there I need to read. I should go, and I'm never disappointed. It's just one of those things where I always feel like and that's the thing. If it's like December and it's cold and it's rainy and it's 11:30 and I step in somewhere, I'm just transported into a warmer environment. And if the food's great, then it's just another connection that's just like, I'm really glad to be in this moment right before I go back out again. So.
Yeah, man, walking around reading sandwich boards, I feel like we should have talked to Carrie about me being proclaimed food mayor.
Do you want to do that?
Yeah, that'd be.
I think I have the authority to make
mayor?
you food mayor. Yeah,
That'd be pretty
I'll have
cool.
to check first. Though. There's like 3 months of paperwork first. That we'll have to do.
That sounds about right. I think I've told you that. Where I'm like, your job, like I love it, but I feel like I like the fluidity of being able to just like see something needs done, make a decision, and do it. Whereas in government, there's checks.
Yep.
Rightfully so.
Exactly.
But like there's processes that can be time consuming.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that? And have you had anything that you've wanted to implement like in your time?
So what's great is when I first started, I did 2 ride-alongs with the BPD. I did a ride-along with the fire department as well.
Oh, nice.
And that was just at night to see what they're doing. How's it looking? What's it like? And I also did a ride-along with the sanitation department. So I was out there at 4 a.m, like loading trash bins.
Oh, wow.
Into the garbage truck. And it was just one of those perspective building moments, And as you see that happen, you start having conversations with people, and everybody in Bloomington, like they know their job, and they know how to make it better. They know how to do things the way that they're supposed to be doing it. But it's just one of those things where they say, oh, we need this and this. And one of the things that the BPD has really talked to me about is just how the right lighting in the right spot can deter groups of people from hanging out. And because the more, like if a bar closes and there's just kind of like a dark corner and people are hanging out there, it's just a matter of time before something happens. Right.
Yeah.
But if you put light out there, people don't want to hang out under lights that are super bright, especially if they're doing something they shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
So then it kind of disperses the crowds and it makes things a lot easier. And they've done that with the alleys too, downtown, where they've just made them, really kind of inviting to walk down, with the lights and the pavement. But it's just been something where you don't feel like it's a place that CD characters want to hang out.
Right.
Or anything like that.
So have you been able to point out places that could be more well lit?
Yeah, to an extent. Yeah. And it is one of those things where, they always feel like there's always another corner we could add more lighting, and then that's the other thing too. I report a lot of missing bricks to different departments and how they're, different things that, a tree branch falls, and every tree in the downtown area is a Parks Department kind of responsibility. So,
oh, really?
Yeah. So I report that to the Parks Department, and then they've got staff that'll come out and take care of it, especially after a storm or something. So it's been great to have all that access in my phone, obviously, and then just being able to shoot texts or calls to the right people, and if it's never like severe emergencies. Like I said, if it gets to that point, that's usually whenever
someone else,
the police department, or I'm actually calling 911. But they're just little situations where it's like, this is an inconvenience. We need somebody down here to kind of fix this up, and I'm just able to kind of shoot an email, and they'll show up and make it happen.
Yeah, you're the boots on the ground, man.
Yeah, so it's a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed it. I've met a ton of people, heard just thousands of stories. Like, I feel like just different things. There was an unhoused guy. This is a story I like to tell. And he was walking around and he had one shoe on, and he got kicked out of the library because you have to have two shoes on, and he was real upset, not upset, but like, he was just really kind of frustrated. And I was like, well, man, like, what happened to your other shoe? And he was like, I didn't have another shoe. I found one shoe. So, he like started his day without any shoes,
man, yeah,
and found one, whereas like in my brain, I think everybody starts their day with two shoes. So if you lose one, you've lost one. It's not that you found one. So, people are doing things differently. It's a big world out there, and they've got a lot of different. That's a really, really cool story. Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Just like from a perspective standpoint.
And it happened, So of course, because I try not to say the wrong thing to people.
Yeah, no.
That's my quote. I try not to say the wrong thing. And so I'm always, I don't want to assume anything. So I'm always trying to like, hey, how are you doing? If somebody seems like they're drunk, I'm just like, how are you feeling? I'm not going to be like, oh, drunk again, sort of thing.
Classic.
Yeah. So in that case, it was the same thing, but I slipped up and I got surprised and I learned a lesson. So a lot of that happens downtown, and that, I think streets all over the world are great places for that, because there's just this kind of culture that happens, And
well, just you saying there's people coming through from different countries, different states that just coming through for a day or two. Mm-hmm. And I feel like most of us are just going about our normal lives, and we don't know we have no idea. Yeah. And you get to meet these people, interact with them, and
and new faces. It's just like this guy sitting over here who I've never talked to this person. He's a new face downtown. And then sometimes I'll introduce myself and they'll be like, "Oh, I've been down here for years." And I was like, "Well, I've been working for 2 years and I haven't seen you down here."
Yeah. So have you? Has there been any individual you've come across that you're just like, man, this person, like they're doing the right things, they're trying, and they just can't seem to catch a break? That like,
I feel like if people want it, it's there. But people do slip up, especially when it comes to addiction.
Right.
So there are people that are telling me, I was in jail, I just got out of jail, and I've been sober for 3 months, but then I'll see them a month later and they're back in a similar state, that led to them being in jail. So it's one of those things where I'm out there just trying to support people and cheer them on. But it's kind of like where there's smoke, there's fire. If you're hanging around the liquor store, you're probably going to end up making a bad decision to an extent.
Yeah, you can only
especially if you don't know how to handle it.
Yeah, you can only do so much.
Exactly.
Make sure people know what is available, and then it's up to them if they want to utilize that.
Yep. And then I try to, just be positive when I'm around them, and that's the thing. There's all different types of people down on Kirkwood, and they're all in different states of mind sometimes,
Well, that's the thing I respect most about what you do and
Yeah.
how well I've seen you do it in person is that, you have this consistently positive attitude that I don't know if I could have dealing with some of the stuff that you have to deal with. 'Cause like, it's hard not to let frustration get to you, stress get to you.
Yeah.
Every time I see you, smile on your face, real positive, happy.
I appreciate that.
So whatever the secret sauce is, I need to know.
Well, let me tell you this, it didn't work when I was negative, and I'm saying like, just learning that through the years, not necessarily in this position, but just all the times where I thought, I'm going to be negative or, just reacting. I always try to assume the best, right? And even if I get burnt, I can still walk away, to an extent. Because there are times where people are in distress and then, they get to a point. This is another great story. This happened on Kirkwood. It was probably 2007. I was in college and I was walking out of the upstairs and there was a guy sitting out there and I was like, I'm going to buy that guy a sandwich, and Jimmy John's was still there, back in those days, they were still there too. So I go in and I buy 2 sandwiches. I buy one for myself because
of course
I had my plan.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I'm going to buy a sandwich for this guy that needs a sandwich. And I go out there and I talked to the guy and I was like, hey man, like I bought you a sandwich. He's like, no, I don't do sandwiches. I only do cash. And I was like, okay. And like I'm saying, I was, 20, 22, 23.
Right.
I get in my wallet, I can pull out $5 and I give it to him. And then he looks me in the eyes and he says, now how about that sandwich?
Hey, not his first rodeo. He knows what's up. He's double dipping.
And I gave him the sandwich.
Of course, yeah.
But I never forgot. And he's still out there. He's still.
Oh, really?
He's still around.
Have you ever told him that you remember that?
No, but he used to call me Youngblood. And I told him he used to call me Youngblood, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I remember." And he, he's probably just being nice again,
right?
But,
yeah.
But I didn't tell him the story because that didn't make me look very good. Why would anybody repeat that story? So.
Why? You gave him a sandwich and
I kind of got hustled though,
No,
just a bit.
No, I think
you don't think so?
No, I don't know. I think that's just you doing the right thing, man. Yeah.
Well, that's good.
I mean, I'll
frame it that way.
One of the guys that I've like gotten to know, first name basis. Always see like, hey, how you doing, man? Like, good to see you. And he'll come in. We'll get him. Most people, we just kind of get him a water if they need it. But like, I've built a rapport with the guy. Like, I grab a hot dog, or some other stuff, and we have some people that we have that relationship with. But I was going by one day, and I was like, man, he's had this raggedy old jacket for so long. Like, let me, like, I've got this jacket. Like, I'm going to give him this jacket. And then the next day I see him and he's not wearing, I was like, bro, like, what happened the night? He's like, oh, like, people know me in this jacket. I'm like, I was like, I like that jacket too.
I've seen that. I've seen snow on the ground and I give somebody a blanket and then, they sleep and they wake up and they just throw it off and then they go. Yeah. And it's just like, dude, pack it up. Like, you're going to need it tomorrow. The night is coming.
Yeah. He's like, I hung on to it and he's still, I mean, I don't hold it against him. You could just try to do nice things. But sometimes, we might think something's not, and we might assume someone needs something that they don't need or they don't want.
And I see that sometimes happen, or people feel guilty, or those types of things, and they put themselves in situations where they're in it too much. Right. But then also, like I said, the guy with the cardboard sign, he has a Venmo. So he's out there and the college kids are Venmoing him money, so it's there's just different levels, and it's a big thing down there on Kirkwood, and there's just all different types of people. And, like I said, I try not to say the wrong thing. I try to, make sure I can connect with people and see what they need. And
be understanding. That is just nuts to think about. Like, like I found this one, I didn't lose one. It's like,
exactly.
Yeah, man, I didn't even think about that option.
I didn't.
Yeah, that'll put you feeling grateful for whatever upbringing or life you've had very quickly.
And when I'm driving home, sometimes that happens. Like, things will happen, and then I just know that I'm going home, and my life's just a lot different than other people's.
Right.
So
Season 5 of the No Dishes podcast is brought to you by VisitBloomington.com. VisitBloomington.com is the best resource for restaurant and culinary information, special events, fun activities, places to stay, and more in our area. We share a similar mission here on the No Dishes podcast of highlighting local businesses and the people who make our community unique. We can't thank them enough for hopping on board. Check them out at VisitBloomington.com to easily plan your next meal, visit, or night out on the town. Do you, I'm going to take a hard right here.
Go for it.
I want to, before we let you go, I want to get some more food knowledge out of you.
Oh, yeah.
You work downtown, but you obviously can drive and eat other places.
Oh, yeah.
Any south side, west side, east side spots that you and the family like to frequent that you enjoy?
When we're over there, it's Hive. We get over to
Yeah.
Hive.
Oh, nice.
You know,
Yeah,
my
yeah.
wife loves it. The kids love it. The setup, that's the thing when you have kids, you're looking for a good setup. Like you don't want to go into like a kind of dingy little place and, take your kids,
Right.
That's something I would do in my 20s or whatever. But, my youngest daughter, she thinks that Hive is a hotel lobby, because she thought one time we ate and she's like, okay, are we going to the pool now? And it's like, no. What is she talking
It just
about?
has that feel,
It
that
does.
aesthetic.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it's open and it's inviting. But the food is great. We love Hive. I'm trying to think of other places. We get over to Mr. Hibachi. That's another big one.
Man.
But
We don't
that's something you got to be prepared for.
Right. Oh no, that's a mental state.
It is.
And
It is.
Yeah, work yourself up into a hunger.
Yeah. But I love it with the kids because then it's like, try this. Try this different food.
Oh, nice.
It's not just chicken strips and mac and cheese.
Well, I never thought about that. Obviously, I'm not a parent, but
Yeah.
having that like, oh, this is a good way for them to explore, find new things they might like that you can build off of.
Yeah, and even just stepping in Blooming Foods downtown. I know you said outside of downtown, but
you're good. Yeah.
It's just another one where it's just like, I've never had curry chicken salad. Here we go. Let's try it out. And I'm like, this is great. This is awesome. So it's just like those types of things where you're able to kind of try different things. And we didn't even talk about 4th Street yet. That's a whole other thing where, you just go up and down there and there's just so many different options. And then if you go there long enough, you figure out different things to order, same with the Da Vinci pizza is great. And then I forget what it's called, but the restaurant, the ramen restaurant next to Da Vinci, where they give the big bowls of ramen.
Lawn Ramen.
Yeah, Lawn Ramen.
They're great. Have you been to Yadagaruso? Where it's underneath upstairs pub?
No, the old Festers.
Yeah,
no,
It's really good. They're pork belly.
Really?
You can like order whatever ramen you want, but then order like a side of the pork belly.
Yeah.
And like you can throw it in there or just eat it separate. And
Really?
it has this really great flavor profile.
Oh, that's awesome. I'll put it on the list because I always walk by there, but it's always, I think maybe because it's tucked, it's just not on the radar. But
right, yeah.
But we go to Bucchetto's a lot. We're over on that side of town too.
Yeah, I love Bucchetto's.
Yeah.
I saw Polly walking on the street the other day.
Oh yeah.
And I yelled out, and I was like, Polly, you need to come on the podcast soon. And he's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just kind of like, I don't know if he wants to, but
yeah.
I said I've known him forever and see him around all the time.
Oh, that's cool.
So
That's
it'd
cool.
be a fun one. Bucchetto's is one that I feel like gets slept on. I mean,
I feel the same way. Yeah, except when I'm at like an IU game and then they remind me.
Right,
and it's like,
yeah.
let's go to Bucchetto's. So,
but it's always very consistently like executed and fresh.
Yeah.
Everything tastes fresh.
Yep.
Everything's like cooked. I've never had like something come out cold there.
Yeah. And then the
there's-
pasta options. And then if you got to do it to go, like I said, we've got kids, so that we're always looking at how we're getting the food, not always what the food is. Sometimes.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of their chicken bada bing. Calzone.
Don't they have a good? Do they have the campfire pizza there?
Very possibly.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good one if that's where it is. Campfire pizza wherever you are.
Do we want to dive into what?
Oh yeah,
you
man!
brought?
I brought you a gift.
I feel weird asking about it, but he said he wanted to wait till it was on camera.
I want it to be the real. Yeah, this is the real deal, man.
All right.
This is. I thought this is very, very Bloomington, but also very, very government related. I think it's a good combination. So,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. We're just
go for it. There you go, buddy.
Oh, I love it.
Congratulations.
If that's not a great new centerpiece.
Congratulations.
Just take these grapes.
Is this all right? Is this how you want to do it?
I think that's good.
Okay.
Here, and put the B right in front.
Yeah.
How does it look, Garrett?
I'm wondering if we can somehow attach the no dishes thing like to the front of it, the thing that's on the wall.
Or you could set it. Yeah, look at that. Oh, wow.
I don't know. I'm kind of about it.
I've seen 2 bald eagles at Lake Monroe this year, and it's just great every time. Every time it's just like, wow, that's a bald eagle.
You just feel the freedom running through your veins.
Well, and I didn't, in Vincennes, we didn't grow up seeing bald eagles or even hawks like we do up here. So it's something, every time I'm driving around and there's just a hawk or something, I just take a minute. I'm like, that's really cool.
Dude,
that's really cool.
I'm the same way when you just see a bird just like with a real long
wingspan.
Wingspan.
Yeah.
It's just like they're just so majestic.
Yeah, man.
And they're just floating.
And if you're at the lake and you're just chilling and you're just like, wow. wow, this is great.
You know where I want to go? I didn't even know it existed. They reached out to us about a donation. We gave them one for the Indiana Raptor Center. It's in Brown County.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
And they've got bald eagles.
Oh, okay.
That they've like helped rehab.
That's cool.
But like they, for one reason or another, they can't release out. And I'm like, dude, that would be
sounds like
so
the
much fun.
Feline Rescue Center.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
kinda
yeah.
like
Just
that,
for
but it's-
birds. Yeah, same deal.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, man.
Yeah, man.
This is awesome. That is.
So
I'm feeling like
it's powerful.
Do you watch Always Sunny at all?
I have.
There's that
but
part
I haven't seen all of it. Always Sunny fans, it's like you haven't seen every single episode.
No,
it's like
yeah.
no. I watched 2 or 3 clips that were hilarious though, and they're probably what you're going to talk about.
But it's just I just love when Charlie he does this like rock flag and eagle.
Oh yeah,
and that's all I think when I see that.
It's like a Team America.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I always think of Jon Stewart had a book that came out, and there's just a picture of him holding the bald eagle. It was it's Jon Stewart's America.
We need him. Yeah, I love Jon Stewart, man.
Yeah, those are good times.
Yeah, well, cool, man. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah,
Thanks
I
for the
hope
gifts.
This was a good time. I'm glad to be here, and reach out anytime. Anytime anything's going on downtown, feel free to reach out to me. And I'm on Facebook as Charles Culp, so you can reach out to me there too if you need anything.
Highly suggest the follow.
Yeah. It'll be a good time.
Well, I can't say enough how you have the perfect temperament, personality for the job. You do an amazing job. Everyone I ever talked to just speaks so highly of you. So keep up the good work.
Yeah.
Thanks for your time, man.
I appreciate that. A lot of that comes from the department that I'm in, Community and Family Resources. My boss, Beverly Callender Anderson, is just awesome. She's super supportive, and she's able to have, she can look at me and be like, what happened last night? And then I'm like, especially if it's something I'm trying to work through. So she's just great. And the whole department's just willing to do anything for me, especially when it comes to downtown, or if something's going wrong, or if I need feedback or advice. They've all just really been there to support me. So I'm really glad to be a part of that.
I love to hear that, man. Well, thanks so much, Charles.
Hey,
appreciate
thank you.
it, man.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Till next time.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Hey, appreciate it.
What another great episode. Thanks again to Visit Bloomington for being our Season 5 title sponsor. If you haven't checked them out yet, go to visitbloomington.com. This episode of the No Dishes podcast was recorded, edited, and produced by Garrett Portinga of Green Hat Media in beautiful downtown Bloomington, Indiana.
No dishes.
No Dishes Media.
No Dishes Media.